Alrighty. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this 2026 client update webinar. We're grateful to have you here. Today's session is really designed to give you a practical, clear update on what's changing across both IT and cybersecurity and what it means for your business. We're going to cover key Microsoft updates and what to be aware of, current cybersecurity trends and targeting businesses like your own, practical steps to strengthen and protect your business and minimize disruption, and also provide some updates on some of the improvements and services that we are going to deliver to yourselves as clients in the coming year. So just a little bit of housekeeping for you. Most of you would have used Teams before, you probably know where these are, but just to be sure that you know where they are. We're going to record this session for participants who are unable to make it. We've already turned off your microphones and cameras, so if there's any comments you want to make, please do them in the Q&A section of the chat. If it is a simple question, you can use Q&A or chat to do that. And we'll have time at the end for all those questions that you might be wanting to ask us. So thanks so much for coming. We appreciate having you here. As I said, this is the first client update we've done of the year, and there's a lot changing. So we want to make sure we're fully giving you a full brief of what's currently happening. And Jess and I felt it was a really good time to do it. There's quite a bit changing in how Microsoft, cybersecurity and AI is happening in the world. And understandably, it can be quite overwhelming. So our goal today is really quite simple. We really want to make you aware of what's happening and walk you through what's changing and what it means for your business. And most importantly, what's worth doing next. So we're going to keep things in practical, plain English, and focus on real world impact. Today's agenda, as we said there, is really about covering Microsoft updates, what's changing, and what you'll see in terms of pricing, security, and AI developments, some of the cybersecurity trends and risks, and what's evolving really quickly in the market we see, some practical ways that you can reduce your risk, and some of those new tools and services that we're going to offer to yourselves. So I'll hand over to Jess now to talk a bit about the wins we've had in the last while since we've last spoken.
Morning, everyone. It's been a big 6 months or so since we last caught up, and we've had some significant wins over that time. Chris, can you do the slides, please? Okay. First up, in January, we were invited to the US. We went to Las Vegas to a conference to receive an award. I'm not sure if you can see the little silver medallions there. We've been working with TMT, a company in the States that only work with managed IT providers like ourselves for business excellence. And that's everything from marketing to how to run a help desk, knowing your numbers and so forth. I went over for training in March last year, and they had an implementation challenge, and we came second to a multi-million-dollar MSP in California. So the prize was we were invited over and come and to one of their events over there with some much larger businesses and see what it looks like at scale. So that was an exciting time and nice to find another redhead in IT.
Good, Jess.
Also, we've now become accredited with Microsoft for modern work, which is the Microsoft 365 piece, the productivity, and small business security. Only 6% of businesses worldwide of IT partners worldwide have one accreditation, which we now have 2, and we've actually been used as a case study for this. And we've also been busy with exams, with Chris and Alberto becoming qualified security administrators, Alberto associates, Alberto becoming an expert cybersecurity architect, and Chris and I becoming AI business professionals. And this just helps us to stay up to date. That's all right. Keep rolling. Thank you. And our other big news is that we're growing. In the next few weeks, we will have David starting, who's going to be working on the help desk with Alberto. And we trust that you will make him welcome as part of the team. And I know he's very excited to start with you, working with you all. Very keen to learn and to help. So we look forward to David starting.
Thanks, Jess. So now I want to quickly go through some of the key Microsoft changes you probably need to be aware of. Some of these you might have seen us communicate through our technology business reviews, or we might have sent you an email separately about these. But just so you're aware of what's happening in the Microsoft space, and there's always lots happening, so we've just narrowed it down to just a few of the main ones that business owners need to know. So first of all, there's a bit of a change in terms of grace periods. So hopefully you never need to see this or experience this slide happen to you, but Microsoft have really toughened up on cancellations and terminations of contracts, and also if the lack of advice upon renewal. So traditionally, there was a grace period of 30 days where if you weren't sure if you're going to renew or not, Microsoft would continue services, and then the bill would just be continued on as per normal. Microsoft has ended that grace period, and that basically means that you no longer get that 30 days period of decision. They'll automatically terminate or cancel the contract with Microsoft on expiry if not renewed by that time. So we generally send a confirmation email to yourselves about a month before expiry, and we often might have a chat about number of licenses needed and some changes that might be needed. So that will continue to be the case. We might actually start looking at doing that a bit more further out as well. But basically, if we don't confirm that renewal with Microsoft, then within 7 days of expiry, then we'll have to set that as cancelled or to be terminated. So I encourage you, if you get that email from us that says, please confirm the number of licenses that you wish to go ahead with for the next billing period, particularly normally it's a year, then please let us know as soon as possible. If there's any questions or doubts, please come and talk to us, because we really want to make sure that it's that we do get that renewal managed properly and that you don't lose any services.
And don't forget, if you're unsure about numbers, there is the option to have monthly licenses as well as annual licenses. And a number of our clients will have majority of those licenses paid annually and a few licenses that they pay monthly, just so that they have a bit more flexibility in license numbers. You will pay an extra 20% for the privilege of having those licenses monthly, but for the flexibility, that's a value to some clients.
Yes. So another one is the pricing changes that are going to take effect beginning of July. So there are some major pricing changes happening across most of the Microsoft's lines that many of our clients use. However, significantly, Business Premium, which is what a lot of our clients use on the commercial prices, isn't changing. It is changing, though, for those who use Business Standard and Business Basic, and also some of the other licenses that clients might have, such as Planner, Copilot, and so on. Sorry, Copilot's not changing yet, but Planner is. What they're providing is great more value for those clients on those plans. For instance, on Business Basic and Business Standard now, there is some more AI and security being included. And also we have seen some in the roadmap, some of the investment they're doing in more productivity and protection for users. So one of the lines that we've been trying to think about how to do it, Microsoft are really moving from the tools to a complete business platform. So we can certainly help you with regards to that. Some of our clients may not be using the full value of their Microsoft 365, and we're more than happy to have a catch up and see what you might be interested in using based upon some of your business requirements. And then I think back over to you, Jess, to go through some of the cybersecurity trends. So I can.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so first up is what's happening in the compliance space. And this is something that we're going to continue to see more of. One of the things, having been over in the States recently, is to see the number of conversations around compliance, the number of new vendors selling compliance solutions. It's a glimpse for the future. And I was surprised by just how much of that the conversation was around compliance. But we're starting to see some real appetite from both the government and industry levels around what the expectations are. So the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner is the body that oversees the Privacy Act and the Notifiable Data Breach Scheme. This scheme has been around for years, since 2018 now. but it feels like the regulator is really only now getting the teeth and the will to actually enforce compliance. So what we've seen over the past year is that they have hired breach hunters. That is people. People to go look for where there have been breaches that haven't been reported to the regulator, so that they can then enforce it. In the last few months, we've seen the first compliance sweep, which means that there's been no breach, but here they've been focused around privacy policies, and they've been specifically looking at where there's face-to-face interactions, and they've identified that and high-risk targets. So these include things like rental and property services, chemists and pharmacists, licensed venues, car rental companies, dealerships, and pawnbrokers. And we've also seen starting to see more fines come through. At the industry level, we've had more questions from clients over the past 6 months than ever around what level of support we're providing and whether they're meeting the industry requirements. Some of these are as simple as, do you have SMB 1001 at a particular level? Because some industry bodies are now using that as the benchmark. For others, it's been a little bit more in depth. And at this stage, we're seeing it more in the, let's say, highly regulated industries, financial industries, financial planning, legal, and so forth. And that's something to keep an eye on. We have an industry body, whether there's licenses or so forth, that we're going to see more of this. There's also been some legislative changes that are coming into effect over the next few months. From the 1st of July, there are 2 changes. One is to the anti-money laundering laws, which if you're in a business where you're dealing either in finance or high-value goods. So that can be property, that can be jewels and so forth. Then you'll need to now comply with the Privacy Act, even if your turnover is less than $3 million. I'm not a lawyer here. There's no lawyers here. As always, we say get your own legal advice. We're just making you aware of these changes. The next requirement is that they're creating an SMS sender ID register. And so if you're sending out text to clients from a business mobile, or if you're doing large scale or automated SMS texts, you now need to register your business as a SMS text sender on this register. And this register aims to cut down the number of smishing attacks, that's SMS or text attacks that on our phones, that we get bombarded with spam texts, and this register is part of that legislation looking to reduce that risk. Come the 1st of October, we'll no longer be able to charge credit card and debit card surcharges. At CyberGuru, we're looking to our payment platforms to see what the changes are going to mean to how they charge us, and then at that point that we will have to reconsider how we manage that cost. And so that's something for all businesses to be aware of. MasterCard can still be not MasterCard, sorry, Amex, American Express will still be, fees will still be payable at this stage. That's going to be under review later. But just something that would impact a lot of us to consider how we're going to manage those costs. And then finally in December, automated decision-making transparency obligations. So these are for any businesses where they're using AI or automation around for decision-making, whether that's staff rostering, or what else it could be in your is hiring and firing, or in hiring particularly around recruitment, or any other kinds of decisions that are made either in an automated or with the use of AI. What we're going to see is the privacy policies become really important in, detailing exactly how these are used and ensuring that there's no bias in that system. And that's all on the compliance. In terms of what we're seeing right now, it's more of the same in a lot of ways. The big news isn't that any one provider was hacked. It's the sheer volume. It's this tsunami, the hidden tsunami that you can't see. So more phishing and scam emails. They're becoming better, more impersonation, and more AI being used by the attackers. So an example of this, a colleague of mine, of ours, he was hacked, and we had been in conversation for about 18 months about possibly doing some work together on a tender. The hacker has gone back and likely used AI to review the full range of the conversation over the past 18 months and crafted an email to me that was called an invitation to bid. And when I first saw it on my phone, I wasn't in the office. I had a quick glimpse and went, this is fantastic. It's finally going ahead. When I finally looked at it in the office, it just didn't feel right. And when I checked, even though the email address was correct because it was coming from his personal, his work email, the link for the tender document was in fact a phishing link. So frequency and just, along for the days of the Nigerian prince emails with all the spelling mistakes, and someone told me how much they love me and that we're going to be happy forever after, and I can go thank you and junk. It's really at this point where a large part of our focus over this past while has been how can we protect the inbox, because that remains the primary method of entry. Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Jess. So do you want me to go through this one, Jess, or do you want to talk through that one?
Oh, I can continue.
Yep.
So the biggest exposure areas, as I mentioned before, are email, whether that's the invoices and payment requests, phishing emails, impersonation, like I mentioned earlier. That's the business email compromise. Staff decisions. This can be across a whole bunch of decisions. It can be decisions around whether to click on a link or whether to reply. It can be a staff decision around AI and how they're going to use AI and which tools. And so I think we're going to see there's an increasing need for governance, because most staff want to do the right thing, but there at times can be ignorance around, well, I didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to do that, or that I should have done this, or what are the tools that are available. Passwords and logins. The saying now is that length equals strength, minimum of 18 characters. And it's that the longer it is, that the more secure it is. So we've been saying this for a while. Don't use your kids' names, dates of birth, dogs, your pets, and so forth. You're aiming for a longer password. Passphrases like white vase, blue television, for example, will help you get the length, or password managers are even better. If you want assistance with that, come see us. And finally, uncontrolled use of AI tools. This is one we're going to see more and more of. There was a company down in Sydney that lost a contract with the Defence Department because they had created a super stealth, for want of a better word, drone, and had a contract with the department. They hired a marketing intern who'd learnt at uni that the way you generate the marketing plan is you take the business plan, you load it into ChatGPT, and you get the marketing plan. They did that using a free version of ChatGPT, which then ended up in the training department, training data. And the department found out about it before the company did, because some of the data and information around this drone started showing up in ChatGPT. And that's a particularly devastating one, because it's no longer so super secret stealth when everyone knows about it. And the damage for that company then to not only lose the contract, but they're back to the drawing board, that they've lost the value of their IP, their intellectual property. Chris.
Thank you. Okay, so we know it's a little bit overwhelming to hear all these things and think, what can we do in our businesses? So I thought I'd spend a few minutes going through some practical steps that all business owners and their staff can undertake. As always, we're always happy to guide you through these in more detail. So I'll spend a little bit of time today explaining them. And if there's something you think we need to go into, please raise it with us next time you're speaking to us. Also, don't forget there is Q&A and chat facilities in this Teams call. So please do use them if you've got any questions, and we can answer them at the end. So, excuse me. So something just happened there. Subtitling. My apologies. So first of all, in terms of the actions, I've listed the top 5 that we believe are going to make the biggest difference to your organization. The first one is turning on multi-factor authentication. Now, this shouldn't just be in your Microsoft 365 that we look after for you, but everywhere that you might need and have data to be secured. So think of your CRMs, your social media platforms, any environment that may contain personal information or business information that, if found by a competitor or a news outlet, or even worse, go to a regulator, that might be deemed as a privacy breach. So turn on multi-factor authentication whenever you can, and be able to protect you and your data from being compromised. Next is strengthen your email protection. Now, we've gone through a little bit of that today, and I will explain some of the services we're going to bring in shortly for you to help to further that. But as just said, be mindful of the emails that you receive. Make sure they're from the right recipient. If it looks like it's from someone but you're not sure, give them a call, but don't use the number in the email signature. Use what's on their website, or if you've got a business card or the like, you can ring them on that. We're particularly seeing one still with payment requests and asking for money. We have some very recent stories about that we could share at another time, but be very mindful of what type of content, what type of emails you receive. And if you're unsure if it's a legitimate request, do the right processes to follow it up, especially if it involves financial management. Next, look to limit what access you give to your staff to only what they actually need. Now, we're pretty diligent with our clients in asking some questions when we do obviously get them as staff members first come into organisation, but perhaps they've changed roles, or maybe they're on a leave for a period of time. It's probably that time when they don't need the access. So consider what access they do have, and we can help you to reduce that if it's no longer required, so they've just got enough access to what they need. And the same goes, as I said, for other packages, like financial systems and so on. If they were helping with payroll for a while, but they're no longer doing the pay runs, then remove that access from them from 0, so they don't get to see that. Next, we have use approved tools only. With the advent of AI and all the different tools available today, and all the different types of AI systems, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, etc., we are seeing our clients' employees starting to experiment a lot with using of those tools. Now, whilst testing is encouraged, we do have to be careful what they're using them for, especially if it involves any company data. This might be your policies, it might be staff lists, be very careful and maybe educate your clients on, educate your employees on what constitutes good AI use and what you accept. We are building out an acceptable use policy for AI that we can help to share with you as a starting point for your own AI policy, and that could look to be furthered by your own internal knowledge and experience of what AI is allowed to be used for based upon the work you're in. And lastly is reviewing your setup regularly. We're often reviewing how you work, but sometimes it's also, it might be in your end too, to look at what is working and what isn't working. You'll notice that in technology business reviews meetings that we're having, we are looking more strategically these days. So I encourage you to think about in advance, how is your setup working? Are there things in your IT or your business that we can help improve through technology? And if we can do that, we can also help improve your security along the way too, by improving and minimizing the amount of threat vectors that a hacker could gain access if they were able to. But these are only 5 things, but they can be things that can help improve and reduce your risk. And I think one thing we need to know is that just even a small percentage progressive change in your cybersecurity posture is better than a big one straight up. So we're happy to work with you in terms of how we can continue to improve your cybersecurity posture. And but look, doing some of these things can help reduce the amount of common attacks we see out there today. Speaking of technology business reviews, and so we have been reforming these in the last few months, and we're open for your feedback and how you feel they are going now. We are trying to make them a bit more concise, bring them to half an hour in length rather than sometimes they would go for an hour or more. So in doing that, we're actually trying to really make sure it's focused on your business and how we can help strategically align IT to your business goals and needs. So we do still are keen to provide a clear snapshot of your IT environment. Obviously, that's what we're here for, to help protect you and look after your IT. So we can have a look at what IT is running in your environment and how well it's working, and maybe some improvements there. We want to provide some security insights that you can understand. So where things are in terms of how many phishing emails have been received inside your environment, how many users are actually actively using Microsoft 365 in that. We're tracking cybersecurity posture. This has been a constant since we started TBRs, to identify and provide you with a transparency around your Microsoft Secure Score in particular, and other parts of your security in your environment. One of the new aspects we're actually introduced in the last few months is a risk register, where we can start to identify the risks and gaps in your environment. This is to help plan and help you identify where these are, and we will work with you on these. And there might be things like aging hardware or licenses that are not properly utilized, or maybe you're underutilized in certain areas, and then, or maybe a mixture of licenses where things are not working as properly as they should. So we're going to start to recognize these risks and document them as part of a risk register, so that we can help identify how we can mitigate those risks. Of course, we want to provide you with recommendations, and one of the reasons for that is so you know where you're standing at the moment and maybe where your next steps could be. So these are often based upon addressing what those risks are, but there might be other services or maybe other things we can look at in your environment, and some may be already in your contract. For instance, turning on the phishing tests and training units that we have available inside of our silver and above plans. But really, we want to make it about strategic reporting, conversation and reporting. It's not just a one-way street with us. We really like to make sure that we have engagement from our clients and how we can improve, but also how we can also improve your businesses as well. So please bring along your questions and any thoughts on what you'd like your business to look like, particularly if we would like to really see how we can improve and manage your IT further. But as I said again, it's really about aligning to your business goals and growth plans. So we will work with you to right size your environment based upon what we work together on. So identifying those risks and addressing those, but also making improvements for the future. So yeah, when you see that next TBR invitation come up, please make sure you do come in and have a chat to us.
Next up, we mentioned AI briefly already. Regardless of whether you're actively using it or not, it's already in your business. And even if we go back a couple of years when it was first coming out, there was about 80% of employees in small and medium businesses that were already using it. And at the time, over half of those weren't sharing with their boss or their manager that they were using AI. The issue is that once an employee brings in an AI or any kind of technology, really, you lose control over not only the technology, but the data that goes into that, as in the case of the drone. And so given, yes, there is a risk associated with AI tools, there's a risk associated with not having AI tools because people can bring it. And so what we would suggest is that businesses use something, give your employees some kind of tool and make it really clear around what they're allowed to do with it, what the limits are, and so forth. There are risks around data exposure if they're not checking the output or the use. So we've gone all in on Copilot because we know that the security of your Microsoft environment also applies to Copilot. So it's not leaving your environment. But, providing a license is only part of the game. You need to have an acceptable use policy, an AI acceptable use policy around what staff are allowed to do with AI, and then training to back that up. There can be, so what I've got here is a screenshot from news.com.au a couple of days ago. This is a local real estate business. They were the second article on the news website because they've used AI in a slightly different way. The top photo is the hero shot on realestate.com.au for a house that they're selling. Exhibit B underneath is what the house really looked like. So they've changed the color. It's the A looks like a classic Queenslander, and the bottom one is the real story. So this is just another reminder, learn from their mistakes, think before you post, because that's setting up both the owners and the potential buyers for disappointment. You drive along the street and go, is this the right house? But also for the damage that's been done to the company that we've chosen not to name, but their name has been splashed across the papers. Chris, please, next slide. So this is the approach that we suggest you take. You give your team the tool, and we're suggesting Copilot. You train people how to use it properly, and what use it properly and what acceptable looks like will depend on your industry. To give you a couple of suggestions, in the legal industry, what we've seen in some states are instructions around how AI can and can't be used. So, for example, the New South Wales Chief Justice, he was the first one to come out and said, no AI in witness statements. For example, anything where someone's saying, I saw this is what happened, and so forth, no AI allowed. Expert witnesses are allowed to use it, but they must disclose it. And at the end of the day, whoever presents the AI generated output, whether that's the expert witness or the lawyer who's been using AI to help them generate their arguments, they're the one that has ultimate responsibility for the truth of this. AI has been known to generate fake case law, and if a legal team were to present fake case law, then they would be the ones responsible for presenting that. Another example, some of you may have seen that Deloitte was done twice in 2 months last year for passing off AI slop as the reports, one to the Australian Council and the Australian government, and another to a council in Canada. And one of was speaking to a team recently who they do small consulting projects. So they do come up against Deloitte at different times. The way what acceptable use to them looks like. They use Copilot. They use it for generating ideas, for forming the outline of the report. The report itself is completely handwritten. There is no AI allowed in the generation of that report, but they then do feed that report into AI at the end to get feedback, and then that feedback is manually implemented. So that's a great example. There's 3 points in the process where they're allowed to use AI, but there's no AI writing allowed into the report. And so it's up to each business, knowing you know your business better than anyone else. What does acceptable look like to you? Once you know that, train your staff and set clear rules. AI acceptable use policy. That's what tools you're allowed to use, and these are when you're allowed to use it. And then if it's also handy if someone wants to introduce a new tool, what's the approval process for going through that? And finally, AI at times does fabricate, and there is a tendency on behalf of some people to over rely on that and not do due diligence on the AI output. Some of the best advice I've had is to treat AI like an army of interns. That's another, you wouldn't give an intern this massive important job, pardon me, send them off to do it, and then publish that as your own work without checking it. It's the same with AI. And I'll hand back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Jess. So now we're going to talk about some of the new tools and services that we are bringing in at CyberGuru to help some of these things. So I said our role is really to make your security posture and continuously improve. Pardon me. Our role is to help to continually improve your security posture without making your day harder. So as we look at some of these new services that we're offering, that's been what we have in front of mind when we've designed them and also implemented them with our clients. So first of all, we're proud to announce a new email protection upgrade. We have had a few clients in the pilot over the last month, and we're proud to say that from next week, we're going to start bringing it live to our other clients. So the product is called Inky. If you're on a silver computer monitoring management plan and above, you will be receiving Inky as part of your plan with us, replacing the existing program Graphis. We call it stronger protection without complexity. One of the things we noticed about some of the other products when we evaluated was how difficult they were to use. And if they're difficult to use, then it's more likely that people won't want to use them. And as a result, you're more ineffective in your cybersecurity posture. So Inky uses a range of AI to be able to detect phishing, impersonation, and fake invoices, which are some of the common things that we still see our clients experience today. Like Graphis, it does have warning banners, but these are a lot clearer than the ones that we've had in the past, and they're actionable. You can actually report them as if they are indeed spam or phishing, you can report that to confirm that, although we hope that you won't need to use that very often, and it's very well trained to do that. However, you might have a false positive, something that is genuine that you might need to report as not junk, and that might occasionally happen. We've also got a great feature called Grey Mail, and this feature enables us to clean up client inboxes automatically. So rather than having all your newsletters and other non-personal content that's not addressed to you or requires your action, they'll now go into a folder called Grey Mail. And this can be a separate folder that you can access anytime we like to see all your newsletters and the like. Having used it personally for the last few months, I love the idea that I can only have to worry about where I see my inbox as things I need to action, and newsletters can be looked at a less hectic time, like after hours on the weekends. Ultimately, though, we hope it creates less junk in your mailboxes that you can manage and allow you to have clearer decisions and fewer mistakes from staff who might accidentally think an email is real. As I said, the pilot was very successful and well received by our pilot clients. And from next week through to the end of June, we'll be rolling this out progressively to our clients And you will get an email tomorrow outlining the steps and a few guides that you can have a look at. The next one is called DMARC monitoring management. And this might be an unusual concept, and maybe you have not heard of DMARC before. But DMARC is a way of actually proving the emails that come in from your domain name are actually genuinely coming from your business. The idea with this is that we want to make sure that your emails are trusted and not faked and look like they're from you when they're actually not from you at all. So it can help spammers and scammers pretending to be you and helps protect your reputation and that of your clients. If you don't have DMARC properly set up, it can result in your emails being marked as spam or even rejected entirely from some mailboxes because of the lack of a DMARC record. So a DMARC record is set up on your domain name, and for most of our clients, we actually do manage your domain names too, so it's a fairly simple process. But what this is going to enable us to do is be compliant with DMARC policies, so that emails that are sent from your domain are authorized to do so, and if it's not authorized, then it will be in basically someone's quarantine or not received, rejected. So benefits are immense. We can help protect your domain, improve the email delivery, improve the visibility of your email, and strengthen the security of that. We did set up DMARC was kind of a basic DMARC included with your plans from January 2025. However, we are seeing increased changes in the requirements for DMARC, and there are some more proposed changes. So this will be a new service that we'll be offering from mid-2026 onwards for our clients in order to be able to protect them further from these things. So we'll be discussing this with you further at Technology Business Reviews and what that looks like and what the investment is on your part. But simply, it's all based on a per domain basis in your organization. Jess, would you like to chat about Copilot changes?
Sure. This is my opportunity to geek out. So for those of you who have your the paid Copilot Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses, you'll notice that there's been several changes over the past few months. If you're not sure whether or not you have a paid license, if you open up Copilot Chat, you'll now see, if you see this Work IQ button, you've got the paid version. If you don't see it, you've got the free version. And Work IQ helps to, effectively what it does is that over time, Copilot is learning more about your business specific context. So for us being CyberGuru, it learns about not only our business, but the way that I write, and other, it provides more context to the prompt so that it can provide more personalized responses. Next up, we have Microsoft Cowork, which has been released in the last few weeks as an agent, a frontier agent, so it needs to be turned on. This is a significant step up because as opposed to the chatting type, if you're using Copilot Chat, you put in a prompt, it gives you a response, you reply, it responds, and so forth. Cowork actually does things for you. It can create files and it can organize your inbox, it can draft emails and so forth. And this is a significant step in the capabilities towards AI being able to do things autonomously without your input. Microsoft 365 Copilot asks for, it can draft emails, for example, but it won't send them. Microsoft has also given greater ability to be able to work within the apps. So, for example, within Teams, that you can now have Copilot Chat and to be able to use agents within both Teams and Word, and I think Outlook is coming. So it's a gradual rollout. You'll see that not every feature is available in every app at the moment, but this has been rapidly changing and will continue to change. We're also seeing general availability of notebooks. Now, if you're a Claude user, you'll know of this feature as co-work. But if, sorry, not as co-work, for ChatGPT, it's projects. And so this is a work area where you can have multiple conversations, where you can have files and so forth, like you're working on a project and you need specific context around a particular project that doesn't apply to the rest of your AI usage. Consider this like a personal notebook. It's not for sharing with the team, but for something that you're working on specifically, where you want to be able to bring files and conversations together. Notebook is now available generally across the range of the board. We've also seen the introduction of Claude into Copilot. And for the researcher and co-work agents, you have the option to use Claude Opus. Now, in co-work in particular, you can, depending on the agent, you can either choose to use that as a model, you can have it as a research council where you've got where you've got GPT and followed by Claude, or you can actually have run both in tandem and see where do they agree and where do they disagree. This is the first of the external models to have been brought in, but Microsoft have indicated that there are plenty more to come. They've already announced Mistral is coming to Copilot Studio, different license, but the same scenario. Microsoft sees Copilot not so much as a direct competitor to Claude or OpenAI, Perplexity, any of those, but they see it more as the delivery system, and you'll either be able to choose from a range of AIs over the coming months and years, or if you've built your own model and it's compatible, then you'll be able to plug it in via Copilot Studio. So this is a significant change and something that people, there's often misconceptions around Copilot as being just another version of ChatGPT. It's certainly started off that way, but where it's going, Microsoft have a vision for that, which is completely different. They're just not very good at telling everyone, and their marketing department needs to kick up the backside. And finally, announced yesterday, is coming Microsoft Scout. This is going to be the first autonomous agent, as in the agent that will be able to do things without your permission, like actually send that email. Co-work, as it stands, you can draft an email with 365 Copilot. You can't send it. Scout will be able to do that. And if you remember earlier this year, there was a whole bunch of commotion around OpenClaw, also known as ClaudeBot, which got acquired by OpenAI. Microsoft Scout is actually going to be powered by OpenClaw. The licensing around this is unclear at this stage. We've seen documentation that says it'll be part of 365 Copilot. We've also seen documentation that suggests that you might need an additional license for this. It's starting to be rolled out in preview to select organizations. So it's not something that we have access to yet, but we're going to be keeping an eye out for it. And when it comes out for when we have access for preview, then we will test and let you know what our thoughts on it, what the licensing are, what the security concerns are, and so forth. But yeah, the amount of changes over the past 2 months has been more than probably the last 6 or 12 months before that in some ways. And it's a really exciting time. And you know, this is also, as new features become available, this is more opportunities for your staff to be able to save time and do things more efficiently. And this needs to be an ongoing conversation. The AI training is not one and done. as new use cases and features become available, this needs to be an ongoing conversation that we're going to be having for a long time to come. And that's the changes, which I think just about wraps things up.
Does indeed. So if you've got any questions, please do stick them through the chat. We'd love to answer them for you. If we don't get to your questions today, then we're more than happy to come back to you offline and answer for you. While you're putting things in the chat, I will be mindful of your time and just give you probably 3 takeaways to make sure you think of today. So firstly, please do look at your Microsoft 365 licensing. If you want to have a chat about any of the licenses you currently have or what you should be having, more than happy to. Most of our clients that have technology business reviews, we do have this as often as a point of conversation, but we definitely want to make sure we have it all nailed well and truly before renewal now. Secondly, email security is one of the biggest risks we still see today. So with that, for the last 29 years, it has been an ongoing battle to manage email security and protect you from the bad guys, but it's also one of the biggest opportunities to improve. So we'd like to happily have a chat to you about Inky or DMARC monitoring management, or even just some general awareness training on what you can do to protect yourself and your staff from phishing emails and fake emails in particular. And thirdly, as just said, AI is here to stay, but it does need to be used safely and properly. And if you're not sure where you stand with this, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, because that's what we're here for, to help you guide through. So we're always happy to have a chat, and if there's any questions or things we can help you with as you work through that, especially with AI, we know it's uncharted territory for most. Jess and I and Alberto have been privileged to have access to some of the frontier apps like CoWork, and hopefully soon that autonomous agents as well to start playing with those. So we are doing our best to keep above a step there. But yeah, any questions? It might be finishing a few
Not
minutes
at
early.
this point. Nothing in chat and nothing in the Q&A.
We might have astounded you, but hopefully not in a bad way. Look, we're always there for you. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to let us know. We appreciate you being here today, so thank you so much for making the time. The recording will be made available. We'll send this through to everyone who attended and those who registered as well, and it will be available on our YouTube channel in the coming days. And if there's any questions that you come to in the next few days, or employees that might have questions after seeing it, we are here to help. So please don't hesitate to drop us a line. So
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.